looking up and seeing a blue sky?
It's a steel one, that's for sure.
Though at least with the steel sky you know your limits. Out here, it's endless. I kinda get what Aerith was saying now.
Yeah, maybe.
Hey, look!
Well, that's one of the issues, isn't it? Like, so this makes sense because if you think about it, rules govern action. All right, now let me explain, because I think this is what Titha is alluding to here. She's like, well, at least with the steel plate, there was limitations, and I can define my environment by the limitations and work within that framework. When it's sky, when it's pure endless, it's like that's too much freedom. She was saying that's something that Aerith was talking about before. It's like, well, when you have a defined framework, well, then you can work within that framework and understand what you're doing. There is such thing as too much freedom. One thing I like to talk to my students about is in football, the game itself is defined by the rules that govern it. A quarterback is meaningless outside of the realm of football. It is the realm of football that creates or defines what is a quarterback. Now, the quarterback has the freedom to decide to run the ball or throw it down to the wide receiver. That is freedom. But it is freedom within the limits of the rules that govern the action. So we often think of rules as extremely limiting, and maybe they are to some extent, but just because it's limiting doesn't mean it's a vice. The rules create the environment, and you get to freely choose from amongst those rules. We have the same thing in society. We all work together in society because we all believe in a framework of rules that allow us to govern. I can only get my license if I follow the adequate rules that govern the action of driving. You know, I need to have a license. I need to go through my permit. All of these things need to be earned and followed. I need to have insurance. These are the rules that are set in place for me to have one of the ultimate freedoms, the automobile. My ability to jump into my vehicle right now and drive to the base or go down into town or visit my family. I have that freedom because I followed the rules that govern the action of automobiles. And in doing so, you know, I have to follow traffic laws. I have to follow stop signs. I have to follow street signs or street lights. So there is a lot of rules that govern the action, but without the rules, the action wouldn't exist. You see, and that's kind of what civility is, a civil society is. We all work within a framework of rules that limits our ability or our freedom to an extent where the society itself can exist. Without the rules, the society doesn't exist. Just like without the rules, the game of football doesn't exist. Just because you're working within a framework of rules doesn't mean you are not free. Those aren't mutually exclusive ideas right there. I refer you back to the quarterback reference. But on the vice, there is such thing as having too much freedom. Having an unlimited amount of things to choose from almost paralyzes you from too much choice itself. I mean, the very actions we take on a daily basis are guided by ignoring 99% of the things we could do. You know, if I was focusing on everything I could be doing right now, it would be hard for me to focus on this game. So I have a very limiting principle right now of priorities set forth by a goal in the framework of rules that are oriented around it that create my ability to decide and to be free. And so that's the thing that she's kind of talking about. You know, you got Titha, she's looking at the sky and it's like, well, it's endless, you know? There may be a vice of too many opportunities going on right now. I've got no direction. I'm rudderless, you know. So there's that concept of there is such thing as too much freedom, you know.